Good afternoon, and welcome to Sharing Holiday Traditions. We have a couple of interesting insights into the holidays coming up in 2020 that will be different this year for everybody. But instead of focusing on the differences, we're going to look at some of the unique holiday experiences and maybe do a little bit of a travelogue and experience holiday traditions of old and seeing how we might um, just get some ideas to start new traditions this year. On many people's bucket lists, perhaps, are the German Christmas markets, those in Europe, which are not happening this year. And that's a sad fact because they have not only the magic of the twinkling lights and the wooden stalls filled with local wares and the warmth of the spiked wine, um, but magic is there. And so many people will be missing that, although many of us are still stringing lights outside to create that sense of magic and awe. Um, Bringing back the light of the season. And candles are so much a part of so many of the celebrations, whether it be Christmas or Hanukkah or Kwanzaa. So that concept of light and bringing light into our lives at this time is really an important part of trying to keep some of these holiday traditions. So that the Christmas markets go back 1,300 years, and the image on the screen is of Erfurt, which is where this tradition began in Germany and then spread all throughout Europe. So the air smelled with the mulled wine and the gingerbread and the sausage. And I'm sure that even if you're home alone this year, you could fill your home with some of those old familiar holiday scents that will bring that holiday alive for you. It was an article that I read about from Terry Marshall, and she talked about the memories of her experiences in different lands, and I thought that it would be interesting to look at some of the rather unique traditions in some countries, some of the ones that are a little surprising and different than the norm that we're used to with the Christmas trees and the lights. So one of the things are the spiders and webs in Ukraine. That is my heritage. But growing up, when I saw the white cotton-like um, filament on my Christmas tree, I thought my parents were trying to depict snow on the Christmas trees. And I have since learned that it was actually spider webs that they were trying to create on the Christmas tree, and that came from a legend in Ukraine about a poor widow who couldn't afford to decorate her tree on Christmas Eve, and her children were very distraught. But in the morning when they woke up, the family found there were spider webs strewn all over their Christmas tree, and it sparkled like silver and gold. And in the sunlight, and they never felt poor again. So even today, the spiders are considered a sign of good fortune, and many people decorate their Christmas trees with spider-like ornaments, or a sense of, like the type of feeling of a wispy kind of spidery kind of ornament. So to usher in the good fortune for the new year. And in Norway, they hide brooms, and that's to keep the evil spirits out of their homes and to look forward to good fortune in the new year. So that's part of their festivities, although they exchange presents and they eat a grand dinner on Christmas Eve, but they don't forget to hide their brooms because that's a very important part. So it can become a quiet and mischief-free celebration. And in Ireland, this was one that really surprised me on January 6th. As we know, many people's Christmas or that season extends into January. There's a woman's Christmas in Ireland, and on that day, The men take over all the responsibilities of the household, and the women go out and celebrate by themselves. I like that one a lot. That sounded like a really, really fun one. Then in Guatemala, okay, so again, kind of the concept like the Norway and the concept of the evil one getting rid of the evil spirits. You'll see crowds sporting horns and families lighting their own small paper mache puppets and creating a bonfire blaze in the middle of the town square. This is the Quema del Diablo, the burning of the devil, with Satan in ashes. The holidays get a literal fresh start, and families can head home for hot, sweet buñuelos, warm fruit punch, to mark the official beginning of the Christmas season. And the one that really, I had kind of heard about this before, but it kind of just, I thought it was just like 1 year because of something, but KFC and the Christmas cake in Japan. Back in 1974, KFC launched a campaign in Japan that read Kentucky for Christmas. And the country has never looked back. So now they actually have what's called a Kentucky, what is it called? The barrel, the Christmas barrel, the party barrel that comes with all the fixings for your Christmas dinner from KFC, including the Christmas cake, a tradition that dates back to World War II, when sugar, milk, and butter were signs of prosperity. So that was really an interesting thing that we have KFC, and most of us would steer clear of KFC on Christmas with lots of other traditional foods and more what we would consider more festive meals. Then in Italy, you have, again, another bonfire, the same type of concept. They celebrate Panavin, a ritual of abundance that translates to bread and wine. But over the flames, which can reach up to 30 feet high, a witch-like puppet symbolizes all the wrongdoings of the last year, and they all get burned up so you can start again. That prophesying next year's fortune. If the spark goes south or east, the crops will be plentiful. If they go north or west, the harvest will be poor. So it's the prophecy as well as the promise. Caroling and dancing bears in Romania. So caroling is a big part of Christmas festivities, especially in Eastern Europe, going house to house. Caroling is a very big custom, I know, in our Ukrainian tradition, and is a sign of they would find that bringing that festivity, that the singing and the gaiety of that, bringing that to the homes of those who are alone and isolated. As today we have many isolated seniors and other people who are isolated because of this COVID pandemic. Perhaps walking the streets and singing Christmas carols or other songs, bringing music into the air outside, into the night, the evening air might be a way to bring about some joy or gaiety into the homes of people who are isolated and alone during this holiday season. So, but they included also the dancers in the streets and the drummers and the bear tamer gathering. And again, we're warding off the evil spirits for the coming year with the bears who are being warded off. So with public events canceled and gatherings between out-of-town loved ones prohibited this holiday feeling, we will all feel a little bit different. And while many of these popular traditions have been upended, we can find ways to bring cheer, to leave notes, and maybe sending cards today is a little bit more important than in years past when we've been doing messages in other ways. But maybe today we might look at that and look at our traditions and create some simplified traditions of our own, some new traditions. Then we look at Hanukkah, and it's amazing how the Hanukkah traditions. So tomorrow evening begins the 10th. On the 10th begins the first night of Hanukkah this year. And at least religiously speaking, it is not. It's not as much as a religious holiday as it is a rededication, and that's what the word Hanukkah means. It commemorates the victory of a group of Jewish people, the Maccabees, over the Syrian Greeks. And the first Hanukkah actually was celebrated a different Jewish holiday. When the Maccabees prevailed over the Syrian Greeks and rededicated the temple, they wanted to get started right away, celebrating important holidays they've missed along the way, including Sukkah, a week-long holiday that should have been celebrated in the early autumn. So they kind of combined celebrations and the week-long, and that's what actually brought about the lighting the menorahs for Hanukkah. It's that week-long celebration, as was Sukkah. They made this also a week-long celebration. So there's a lot of interesting information about 18 things you never knew about Hanukkah, and I actually found that if you go out and look on the Reader's Digest has had a really interesting article on that. So there are 18 things that you might not know about the miracle of Hanukkah and why Hanukkah falls on a different date every year. That dreidels weren't just a toy, but were a way of teaching children and hiding that teaching. So that there are many things that we might, did Jesus celebrate Hanukkah? The Jewish law doesn't require temple worship on Hanukkah because it's not a religious holiday. That money is a traditional Hanukkah gift, and that there's not a right way to spell Hanukkah with the C or without it. So there are many interesting things that we can learn about traditions of all the people around us, our neighbors and our friends, and take this time to learn about them. Go out there and explore the different celebrations. And falling right after Christmas on the 26th of December, again for a week-long celebration, is Kwanzaa. So Kwanzaa is the African-American celebration of, it is not a celebration of Christmas. It is not a religious celebration. It actually is based on 7 principles, and those begin with December 26th, which is considered a day of unity. On this day, there's a goal set to strive for and maintain unity in the family, the community, the nation, and the race. So after the year of racial tensions that we have had, this may be an especially poignant one for African Americans. The second principle highlights self-determination. The third principle is about collective work and responsibility, and that's that we make our brothers and sisters' problems our problems and we solve them together. So it's a matter of working together as communities. The fourth one is cooperative economics, and the pursuit of businesses and self-determination and the pursuit of economic independence, like entrepreneurship, the best spirit to create and take advantage of. The fifth one is, what is your nia, or your purpose in life? That's what you may be asking yourself on Kwanzaa's 5th day. Is to be clear about where you're going. You need to try to define what is your purpose in life, and how can we help to live longer. And I think during COVID, this is especially good for all of us to think about, because we have the time to sit and think. And if we focus on a purpose and perhaps find new purposes and ways to volunteer, whether it be ways to call and have friendship phone calls with people, to reach out to more people, to be aware of other people who are alone and maybe in need of companionship, or to create things, to make things out of stuff we have around the house, to be creative, to find that creative self within us. And then finally, on the 6th day, that's exactly what it is. It's looking at the creative side, and that aspect of ourselves that we might not so often focus on. What will our legacy be when we leave this world? Do we do anything to make it better? So, and then on the final day, we look at money or faith for the final concept principle of the day. Believe with all our hearts in our people, our parents, our teachers, our leaders, and the righteousness and victory of our struggles. So it's not just about having faith, but especially during these challenging times right now. This is a quote from Tembo, to believe that through our struggle we can improve in the society that we live in. So I think that the spirit of each of these holidays, religious or not, brings us to a greater understanding of what we have more in common with each other than what separates us and makes us different from each other. And I think that's important in this season, and through the winter and the dark and cold winter coming upon us. Hopefully it'll be bright, even if it's with snow. It's nicer than looking at it as a dark time. But there's something nice and clean and refreshing about snow for those of us in this area, and so I think that there is hope. There is hope found in building a community with each other. I invite you all to look out at northjerseyvillages.org, our website, and to see what different activities are available. We have some free opportunities in January to join some hobby clubs that are provided by the JCC, and we're very grateful for that opportunity to invite all of you to join in doing some either ceramics or some painting or some drawing, and those are free programs throughout January. Now in December, we have Saturdays and Sundays. We have some free opportunities through the Vitality Society. And then we have a list of more things that you can do at home. All kinds of opportunities through many of the organizations that exist in much of the culture. And so the Metropolitan Opera or Broadway shows, there are great opportunities out there for us. So please do look out on our website and see what other opportunities are out there for you to fill these days and to find some enjoyment, to share them with your friends and your family members, and to perhaps view them at the same time as a shared experience. We hope that whatever you're celebrating this holiday season, that it be a peaceful time for you, and that it does have warm memories.